Hey guys, okay, first major thing to talk about with this episode is to pretty much bring up that pretty much this episode introduces, like, officially introduces us to Ren and Jun's father, Tao Yuan or Yan, I don't know how you pronounce it. And aside from essentially setting him up now as the next major antagonist, like, let's be real, with him being introduced, he's being set up as the next major antagonist. Anyone who's read the manga will know this, and even those who've watched the original anime will know this. But for everyone who's coming, everyone. But the thing is, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to talk about Yuan with as a character without addressing what this means for oddly enough when the dub inevitably hits Netflix, because as everyone who watched the original anime on 4Kids, Foxbox, whatever, will know, the original the original dub at the time had pretty much changed Yuan from being their father to being their uncle. And when I was a kid, I didn't really think much of that change. But after watching the original in subtitles about a year or two ago and reading the manga, it did finally click in me as to why that change was made, which is that when you really look at June and when you really look at June and Ren's childhood as a whole, there are some very real instances and underlying context of parental abuse, both physical and psychological. Like, Ren is a poster child for for psychological parental abuse. Psychological parental abuse. Like, Yuan has wrecked Yen's mind incredibly, and pretty much just from June, like, talking with her father initially, you see she is terrified of him, but at the same time she's pretty much also gained this confidence in order to tell him straight up, hey, look, what you did pretty much fucked us up, and guess what? Everything you've tried to build with raising us, it's gonna all come crumbling down because of Yo. And so now, like, the thing is, with that whole 4Kids filter, without that 4Kids filter, we're getting to explore just, like, the true unfiltered reality of why Ren is the way he is, and how his father's abuse and him and Yuan drilling the ideas of what the Tao legacy should be into his children, it really affected Ren as throughout this entire fight with Yo. You can tell he was basically just, in some ways, he was fighting with himself to hold the pretty much weak, to hold the very weak lessons he learned from his father together, but the entire fight. But the longer the fight dragged out, and the more that pretty much Yo embraced his own beliefs and resolve, or as Ren was struggling, Ren was inevitably forced to face the truth in the end. After having lost, Ren was kind of inevitably forced to face the truth that, on top of the obvious factor that his anger was clouding his judgment and his fighting, Ren ultimately realized that in the end he wasn't really fighting for anything. It was all just noise and words that were pretty much compounded in his brain, in his mind at birth. Like, they were forced. He was forcefully taught this stuff, but he never really understood as to what it means in order to restore the former glory of the Tao family. But now that he is thinking more clearly after this fight, he can now, like, find his own answer as to what that really means. Of course, like, the first, I mean, obviously, he's probably gonna like forget about. He's probably gonna just kind of abandon, like, maybe restoring the Tao family in some ways. But I think he's gonna come up with his own version of what it means to restore the Tao family, basically. Of course, in order to do that, first, again, as I said before, with Prince, the beginning of this episode, and Prince Yuan being set up as the next major antagonist, Ren right now does have to settle things with his father before he can really move on. Um, Move on, and I will admit, in the way the fight ended, like the whole fight itself, it was actually pretty well handled. Frankly, it was easily comparable to the original anime. But where I do feel the anime, this version did kind of falter a little bit, is that is in the ending, and pretty much how in the original anime, I kind of liked how they pretty much let the moment of pretty much Ren just kind of feeling like that weight of responsibility of destroying the Tao family was lifted off his shoulders. In the anime this version, they kind of skirt by it a bit to continue moving forward, but yeah, like it's just a thing of I wanted them to hold on that moment for just a little bit longer, but it is what it is. Um, with that said, the middle of the fight, we all in between the fight, we also get little commentary from we also get moments of of spectators of previous opponents that Yo has fought, just kind of looking at the fight, and one of those spectators is Faust, now confined to a wheelchair. And again, I'm not going to rehash all the complaints I brought up in episode 7, but again, this reveal of him being in this wheelchair is one of the reasons I'm again praying to God that episode 7 it was just a case of like broadcast of being censored for broadcast purposes. Because if not, like it's one of those things where even if you're an anime only who just assumes you know what happened, it's still kind of like a lot of the more. I'm not saying you need gory or gruesome, or you need to see gore or gruesome stuff or anything, but but in Faust's case, it is kind of necessary in order to show stuff like this. That yeah, Faust kind of like if you didn't know, Faust pretty much in the fight with Yo, Faust like pretty much sacrificed his legs in order to in the manga. Faust sacrificed his legs in order to continue fighting against Yo, but yeah. So yeah, it's alright. It's just kind of one of those things that kind of infuriated me a little bit. Um, I also like how everything that was building up with Ren's previous actions during the tournament, especially Silva grappling with the idea of watching over the key to kill Chrome, all kind of came to a head in this fight, and the fight itself, and just even though it's very subtle, you can see that watching the fight himself, it made Silva realize that even if someone does commit a heinous act, that there will always exist that one small opportunity in order for redemption. Although I will admit, I do think the build up to him realizing that could have been just a little stronger. And while it is a problem in the anime cutting out certain moments with Silva, I kind of thought the same thing in the manga as well. That while there was more time for Silva dealing with his internal feelings leading up to the fight in the manga, it just still overall felt like something was missing. But just like with Ren's transformation at the emotional transformation at the end of the fight, I do like how watching the fight unfold did give Silva the proper closure he needed necessarily. Um, Also, just getting Silva's general commentary about the fight itself really kind of makes me appreciate like the whole concept of from spirit energy and like the whole concept of spirit energy and just from Furyoku as a concept and a power system, like because frankly frankly how simple it is. Like the thing with Furyoku is that the rules are very simple. The amount of Furyoku can hit whatever ceiling you want it to. But the one constant rule is that the moment you're out of Furyoku, that's it. The fight is over. And the best part of being reminded about this is that however great Ren's emotional transformation is, we kind of get to see even more just how Yo's loss to Faust really allowed him to calm down and think much more clearly about every move he makes about every move he made during this fight, and how like even though it ended in a draw and without a victor, in the end the only reason as to why it was a draw to begin with is because Yo learned as to how to take advantage of how to use the advantages he had against Ren, and just to make the most of his opportunities. Um, but yeah, and just overall, just having a clear head in order to fight against them. But but yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Analyst, Crunchyroll, and be sure to hit the bell for notifications, and just share the video around, guys. Pass the video around, guys. Death Knight of Anime, signing off. Later.